Hello and welcome back to episode 7 of Woodworking Monetized, where we make 14 of Steve Ramsey's crates, the advanced kind with the thinner slats now that we have the table saw. And if you watched my previous episode 6 where I make the folding picnic bench, I forgot to include this 3/8 inch drill bit, which runs about $10. So instead of ending the last episode with $335, we are ending with $325. So let's get started with the tools and materials of these 14 crates. I went ahead and purchased Type Bond 2 as I plan on doing some more exterior projects in the future. I went with 1¼ inch nails as I plan on using the leftovers for future projects. And I'm sorry, Mom, I should have got these safety glasses in the very beginning. It seems like every time I make a video with plywood, I always forget to take video of the plywood before making cuts. But it was just one sheet of plywood, and then I used 1x6 boards at 50 cents per foot, and I can rip them down both in width and in thickness as well to get those thin slats. And then there's the 3/8 inch drill bit. So each of the plywood boxes is going to be 13½ inches wide by 11½ inches tall. And I have those dimensions because they will fit vinyl records. And I already have someone who's interested in buying a few of these crates for that purpose. So again, it will be 13½ inches wide, so it'll be enough room for the records to be flipped through. And then it's 11½ inches tall, so that each record will protrude a little bit, about 1/2 inch. And the direction of the plywood grain will be going horizontal as well, and the depth of each box is going to be 16 inches, but the interior dimension will be 1.5 inches shy of that. Some tape would have been a worthwhile investment here when cutting these plywood sheets, as it would help prevent tear out. And before you troll me in the comments, this speed square was used in a previous episode, or purchased in actually the first episode. I'll leave a link in the description for that. I've had people say, hey, you didn't include this in your tools, and as well with this Forstner bit. This bit was actually used on the wine racks. So rather than commenting on that, why don't you check out a previous video. And this level that's doubling as a straight edge was purchased in the previous video, episode 6. Go ahead and check that one out too. Oh yeah, and the quick clamps that you see there and the jigsaw, yeah, they were purchased in a previous video. So I know haters gonna hate, but it's all part of the process. Each episode is building on the last one. See what I did there? Building, because never mind. So I heard somewhere, maybe it was YouTube, that you're supposed to take a measurement from a previous piece that is measured correctly rather than continuing to measure with your measuring tape. So that's what I attempted to do here. Each 1x6 produces 6 16-inch pieces, which then are ripped down both in width and thickness to produce 24 of those thin slats. And of course, when batching out any project, it always makes the most sense, efficiency-wise, to focus on one step in the process and complete that step before moving on to the next step, even if it is laborious and boring. It's got to build character, right? So here are the slats before I then rip them down in thickness. And I will be the first one to tell you that this isn't the safest way of ripping down the thickness of each of these slats in half, but I just made sure I focused and made sure that the blade was just a little over halfway of the total width of each piece, so that when I flipped it around, it would overlap the previous cut on the underside. I'll also be the first one to tell you that this whole assembly process of the crates would have been a lot quicker if I had both a nail gun and an abundance of clamps at my disposal. After assembling a few of these crates, I realized also that it's easiest to attach the corner slats first, making sure that they're all 16 inches or the correct dimension in square. And filling in the slats on each side, I just basically eyeballed it rather than getting too finicky about the exact spacing between each slat. And when assembling the bottom 5 slats, the 3 middle pieces are a little bit too wide, so I just took the second and the fourth one and ripped down about 1/4 inch off each of them, as you'll see here. Much better and definitely satisfying. And this may go without saying, but when adding glue and nails, make sure you just push the slats down a little bit so they don't slide around when you're trying to nail each slat in. And there you go. That's the box in all its beauty. I mean, crate. Yeah, I'm way too advanced for boxes. This is definitely a crate. And once dry, I also sanded each of the boxes to remove any of the excess glue, which the sander was purchased in the very first episode, episode 1. So go ahead and check that one out if interested. But here are my 14 crates. All right, episode 7 is in the books. At the beginning of this episode, we started with $325. The total cost of materials and the safety glasses was $105. Now I intend on selling each of these 14 crates for $20 a piece, which would give us a revenue of $240. When we factor that in with the materials cost, it leaves us at the end of episode 7 with $500. So on previous projects, I've had some comments and questions about how long it takes me to batch out a project, or so then people can figure out how much I'd make per hour. So I am estimating it took me about 10 to 12 hours to make these 14 crates. And so if I'm factoring in the material cost of $103 and the revenue of $20 per crate for 14 crates at $280, that leaves me with a profit of $177 or $12 per crate. Now I'd say it took me about 10 to 12 hours to complete all 14 crates. And so when I take the 177 profit and divide it by the 10 to 12 hours, that leaves me with $14 to $17 per hour. Now the 10 to 12 hours could be decreased if I had more clamps and obviously a nail gun. So let me know what you think about episode 7. I would probably hold off on making these again before making something else. Because these were just a little bit tedious to make, or I'd wait till I got a nail gun and more clamps to make it go by a little quicker. Let me know what you think. Always a thumbs up would help. Any comments, let me know what I could do to improve. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Thanks.